The Ambilight PDT device is a light source for use in photodynamic therapy. It is intended to be worn on the skin and to be used in combination with a topical pharmaceutical. The Ambilight PDT is a single-use device that consists of a flexible, light-emitting head and a battery pack. The device emits red light at a wavelength of 640 nanometers, just as with existing light sources. It also delivers a light dose of 75 joules per centimeter squared. Where the Ambilight PDT is slightly different to conventional light sources is that it emits light at 1/10 the brightness for 10 times as long. This leads to a much gentler treatment than conventional PDT, while still retaining the efficacy of existing light sources. The Ambilight PDT has an emitting area that is 30 mm in diameter. However, it should only be used with lesions that have a maximum diameter of 24 mm at their widest point. In every Ambilight PDT box, you will find the following materials: the Ambilight PDT light source, an alignment template for positioning the device correctly over the lesion, a belt clip that fits onto the back of the battery pack so that the device can be worn about the waist, a ribbon for attachment to the battery pack so that the device can be worn about the neck, an instruction manual. In order to perform a treatment using the Ambilight PDT device, you will also need the following materials that are not included in the box: a transparent occlusive dressing that is at least 3 cm by 3 cm in diameter. This dressing must let at least 90% of the light through it. A dressing such as a Tegaderm is ideal. A curette for debriding the lesion before treatment. A pen or skin marker for positioning the device. A photodynamic therapy pharmaceutical cream. A dressing that blocks the light for covering the lesion after the treatment. Before preparing the lesion, the position and orientation of the light source on the skin should be determined. The location of the lesion should also be checked against the permitted locations as described in the instruction manual. The alignment template should be placed on the skin over the lesion and aligned such that the lesion sits in the middle of the circle on the template. The lesion should be no greater than 24 mm in diameter at its widest point and fit completely within the circle of the template. For lesions that are located on curved body surfaces, the template should be rotated around the lesion such that the hinge of the device allows it to bend around the body curve. Dots or lines should be made on the skin using a pen to illustrate the location of the template over the lesion. Once the alignment marks have been made on the patient, the lesion's surface should be prepared to remove scales and crusts and roughen the surface of the lesions. Please refer to the instructions that were included with the pharmaceutical for details on how this should be achieved. The pharmaceutical cream should be applied in an even 1 mm thick layer across the extent of the lesion. This will ensure that the cream will be absorbed into the skin and become transparent before the light is activated. Parallel lines of cream taken from a standard pharmaceutical tube should be deposited across the lesion. These lines should be spaced at a distance of 5 mm and should extend past the lesion margins by a distance of 5 mm. Once the cream has been applied to the lesion, the entire area should be covered with a transparent occlusive dressing. This dressing should have dimensions of at least 3 cm by 3 cm. Slight pressure should then be applied to the area to ensure that a 1 mm thick continuous layer of pharmaceutical covers the lesion. Once the transparent occlusive dressing is in place, the battery unit should be secured to the patient via the supplied belt clip or ribbon lanyard. One side of the adhesive liner on the light plaster should be unpeeled with a release tab to expose the adhesive. The side that retains the liner should be placed over the lesion and occlusive dressing layer and moved around until the device aligns with the measurements that were made on the skin. The entire device should then be placed in contact with the skin and the second liner removed. Finally, the entire plaster should be gently pressed onto the skin and check that it is in good contact with the skin. It should be noted that the cream, the transparent dressing and the light source are applied at the same time. Once attached, the battery pack should be turned on by pressing the on-off button and holding it down for 4 seconds. It must be verified that a green light is flashing on the battery pack before proceeding further. At this point, the patient may leave the clinic. The device is entirely ambulatory and will automatically switch itself off once the treatment has finished. The device is programmed so that the light source in the plaster head will not come on until 3 hours after the battery pack was initially activated. This 3-hour pause allows the cream to be absorbed into the skin. After 3 hours, the cream will have been absorbed into the skin and converted into a light-sensitive compound. At this point, the light source will turn itself on and illuminate the cream and the lesion. The light in the plaster will continue to illuminate the lesion for 3 hours. At the end of this time, the device will automatically switch itself off. This means that the patient must wear the device for a total of 6 hours. The green light will start to flash at twice the speed on the battery pack to indicate that the treatment was successfully completed. The light source, battery pack and occlusive dressing may now be removed. It should be noted that although the device is entirely ambulatory and allows the patient to leave the clinic, the clinician performing the treatment must make a clinical judgment as to the competency of the patient to comply with the treatment. This should include an analysis of whether the patient will understand the treatment and whether they will also understand the need to remove the device only after the treatment has completed. The analysis should also look at the physical ability of the patient, so that they can read the coloured lights on the front of the battery pack, that they can reach the plaster, and that they have the strength to remove the plaster. Once the plaster has been removed, the areas should be carefully wiped to remove any excess cream from the skin. A dressing that blocks light should then be applied to the treatment site and left in place for 24 hours. For further instructions relating to the post-treatment handling of the lesion, please refer to the instructions included with the pharmaceutical. As with all electrical goods, the Ambilight PDT should not be disposed of as general household waste. To ensure that correct waste treatment of the product, please dispose of the device as you would via the appropriate facilities for electrical goods containing batteries. It should be noted that multiple lesions may be treated during the same treatment session. However, each lesion must be treated with a different light source. If the red light on the controller illuminates during use, then the treatment has stopped before the full dose of light could be administered. In this case, the patient and/or healthcare professional should consult the pharmaceutical instructions to determine how to proceed in the event of a missed or under-treatment. It should be noted that if the Ambilight PDT becomes detached from the user during use, then patients and clinicians should not look at the light source for extended periods of time. The Ambilight PDT is intended to be used in combination with the pharmaceutical cream. Please refer to the instructions accompanying the pharmaceutical for a list of contraindications. Patients with a history of photosensitivity should not use the Ambilight PDT. For a full list of locations where the Ambilight PDT should not be used, please refer to the Treatment Location Restrictions section of the instruction manual included with each product.